some kind of, again, all of this, we're trying to do eco-socialism in an hour, so it's all very condensed. But we've got orthodox Marxism, Kautsky, Bolshevism like Lenin and Trotsky, libertarian Marxism like Rosa Luxemburg, Pinochet, anarchism represented by anarcho-communism with Kropotkin, and anarcho-syndicalism, which was more worker and employment-based by Rocker, post-Marxists like Gramsci, Adorno, and Horkheimer, and then the idea of the debate, like I said, of socialism from above or below. And one of my favorite ways to talk about Marxism and kind of illustrate its process, right, is at the time of Marx, and why Marx has this very big focus on the state, is that there wasn't only he was from Germany. There wasn't only a solid German identity that was very distinct from an English identity or a Belgian identity or a French identity. There was a multiple distinct German cultures. This is pre-unification. And so Marx really didn't quite, he didn't quite have the opportunity to envision globalized capitalism, right? He was seeing capitalism rise in these individual states, but that didn't maintain, right? And it didn't even maintain through his life. He even started seeing it. But then we get into post-Marxists. So you've got Gramsci, who introduces the idea of hegemony, who introduces the idea that that starts getting into the what happens when capitalism starts merging with culture, right? And Marx saw capitalism merging with the state, but in Marx's time, there was still very much distinct cultures under this capitalism. When by the time Gramsci was writing in the early 1900s, capitalism had really started integrating itself into a global capitalist culture, which Gramsci introduced the word hegemony to talk about. And then you bring in Adorno and Horkheimer, who talk about the culture industry, right? And where Gramsci kind of saw the initial integration of the state of culture in the state, Adorno and Horkheimer saw that when they were writing, saw the full commodification of culture, right? To the point that they called it the culture industry. And then you bring in someone like Guy Debord, in the 60s in France, and talking about the society of the spectacle, and how capitalist culture has not only become a total thing, but it's created this myth, this bauble of itself, this veil that it hides behind, this propaganda that people take as reality. And they can't even see the truth of what capitalist society is in. And then post-Marxism really explodes, right? You've got people like Julia Kristeva bringing in psychology into it. You've got Angela Davis and the Black Panther Party bringing in race, right? You've got early LGBTQ people coming in and introducing that identity stuff, and so this period of time with post-Marxists is when you really see it explode. You really see, socialist and Marxist thinkers trying to grapple with this totality that at the time of Marx didn't exist, right? That the time of Marx was just kind of a distant thing that you might be able to see with some insight. But by the time you reach the post-war period, by the time you get to the civil rights movement, we have this massive explosion of post-Marxism, which isn't to say that Marx is left behind, but Marx needed augmented. Marx needed Marx's kind of analysis needed integrated with a racial analysis, with a social analysis, with a psychological analysis, which with a gender and sexuality analysis, with an disability and able-bodied analysis, with all of that. And so that's another important reason why we shouldn't talk about Marxism and socialism as a solid single ideology with a beginning and an end, but a process.